It's Easton podcast number 5, and I'm back with the big cat, Steve
Anderson.
Wait a minute, we screwed that up. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead with it.
Yeah,
let's
try
to do the one-take thing. We'll just roll with it. Hey, everybody. Steve is back from Poland. You just got back yesterday, Steve. Long trip?
Very long, too long, but I'm happy to be back on some U.S.
You've
soil.
actually 25 days away from home.
25 days, yeah. That's a doozy.
Is that the longest you've spent on the road at archery events?
Yep, by far. Usually I'm only gone 7-8 days, so.
All right, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. What's the best way to cope with being on the road that long?
Find something, whatever you I think you have to first find what you don't like about where you're at so that you can find some creature comforts, you know. Europe tends to not have water like I like it. I like to have a huge glass of ice water at all times during the day, and Europe often has small bottles of water at room temperature, so I have to find a way around that.
It's little things then. That's what you're trying to say. It's the little things that matter.
Yeah, it's nothing huge, but little things that make you feel like you're more in your comfort zone, I guess.
Well, it sounds like good advice. I can't dispute that. I think it's important to be comfortable with where you're at, especially when you got to spend that much time away from home. But okay, so you're back from Poland, and boy, the Americans had a heck of a run at that event, didn't they? Generally.
Yeah, it was a big event for the American team. We've never had that much success across the board. To see all the recurve teams in gold medal matches, our compound men's team in a gold medal match, compound women's team in the bronze medal match. We had mixed teams in both medal matches.
Yeah, the mixed team for compound took the bronze, I see.
Yeah, and it was a solid event for the U.S. team.
Compound men's results, I'd say no big surprises given who was there. I mean, we know these guys are all good, but they're not the usual bunch that we see on top of the podium at a World Cup, and especially in the gold medal match, Steve.
Yeah, Abhishek Verma from India, Ismail Abadi from Iran, they have faced off in some matches over in Asia, the Asian
Cup Championships. Yeah, I was at that event, in fact.
Right.
And in that one, Abadi beat Verma, if I recall correctly.
Correct, yeah. And Verma had some matches there where I think he shot like 3 150s in a row.
Yeah.
And then finally lost to Ibadi in the final. And so those guys, they're great shooters. It was no surprise to me to see them in the final. And then we had this other bum in the bronze medal match.
Yes, Mr. Steve the
Big Cat
Anderson. Congratulations on your bronze medal.
Thanks.
So, yeah, Mr. Verma winning this time over Mr. Ebadi, and then you yourself taking the bronze medal match against a great shooter, Martin Damsbo. Martin tried his best, but, you know, at the end you came through and took the bronze. So that was great shooting on your part.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I shot great. If you watch the match, obviously Martin had a little mechanical issue. I feel terrible for the guy. You never want to win because of something like that. You want to beat a shooter straight up.
Yeah, of course.
But I felt like I shot a good enough score to beat most anybody that day. And
well, you know, let's look at the reality, though. You're not shooting against another person per se. You're shooting against the target.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's really ultimately what it is. It's one arrow at a time, so, you know.
Until they let me play defense, I guess that's all I can do.
Yeah, and defense against archers hurts.
Yeah, full contact
it's really
archery.
Painful.
I think I'd be good at that, though.
Yeah, but you could probably block about 2 shots before you'd want to give up, though.
That's one more than most.
Yeah, well, you're a big guy. All right, compound women. We're looking at, look at that. It is your wife, Linda Ochoa, taking bronze.
Yeah, so I think that might be the first time a husband and wife pair has come away with medals. I could be wrong.
I think you're right, but I need to go do the research. We have a couple from Lithuania, Jelena Babanina, and her husband, Vladas Sagauskas.
Yes.
And I think they've both medaled at an event, but I don't think it was a World Cup. I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been a European Championship. So, yeah, maybe. But at a World Cup, I'm pretty sure you're the first husband and wife duo to pull off a bronze medal.
Yeah,
each.
I think it's pretty cool, too. So
pretty cool. I'll bet she was stoked.
She was pumped. She in Linda's match, it was 10 to win, 9 to tie on her last arrow, and she took her sweet time getting it off and then shot with 1 second left and shot her only X of the whole match. So she won, I think it was 142, 141 or thereabouts.
There's another thing about that, though, that comes into play, and that is the fact that, as far as I'm aware, she's the only person who is locked for the World Cup final in the women's category.
Yeah, she is the only one who does have a locked position there. Mike Schlosser is the only one who has one on the men's compound side, and there are none in the recurve categories yet.
And Natalia Avdieva is not locked. She's probably going to need to show up in Colombia.
Taking a look at the point totals, she's at 39. Historically, that'll get you in. On
Probably,
the
maybe. Yeah, but look who's down here. We've got Sarah Lopez in a three-way tie with Andrea Marcos of Spain and Crystal Galvin of the United States. They could move up. Any one of those three could move up.
Yeah, and it's hard to say what will happen in Colombia. When it comes to the World Cup finals in the fourth stage, you get some shooters who have no chance at making it, and they quit coming.
But look who else is in here. I mean, we've got Alejandra Usquiano. She's 10th right now. She's going to be in Colombia at a home event. You know that she's going to probably do better than that. Yesim Bostan from Turkey will probably be there. And Jyothi Venom of India has a shot. I'm sure Crystal Galvin has her eyes on the prize there and wants to try to get in there. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, Crystal will be, you take your best 3 out of the 4 World Cups, so she'll be looking to replace Turkey, where she only had 5 points. Whereas you mentioned she's in a tie with Sarah Lopez. Sarah has only been at 2 events, so whatever she gets in Medellin is what she will finish with. Crystal will, if she gets a top 8, she might add 5-6 points.
So as things stand right now, Sarah's in good position if she does well in Colombia.
Yeah, I think Sarah is going to do well. I don't foresee her getting less than 5 points, but I guess that could happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But I would imagine Sarah will probably find her way on the podium. She was, from what I heard, she was kind of bummed that she decided not to come to this one. A lot of shooters, because of the duration of the trip, opted out. Then they're sitting at home watching, and it's hard to watch the finals go on when you're thinking, man, I should be there.
Sure.
I wish I was shooting there. I think I could have found my way in.
Yeah, any competitor has that attitude,
Yeah.
No doubt about that. So just reviewing the compound women's standings for the Archery World Cup after Stage 3, Linda Ochoa of Mexico with a lock with 44 points. Natalia Avdieva of Russian Federation, who won this particular event in Poland, is now second. Stephanie Salinas of Mexico, third.
Yep.
And Andrea Marcos of Spain is tied with Sarah Lopez and Crystal Galvin of the United States for 4th place right now. And it's the top 8 that go.
Yeah, and it will be the top 8 since Mexico has a representative already qualified. So they will go to number 8, which looks like a 2-way tie between Yosim Boston and Jyothi Venom from India.
Yep. So Jyothi Venom of India and Yesim Bostan of Turkey are I'd say on any given day, pretty equal. But they're both great shooters, and so there's no telling what's going to happen with the other positions for this World Cup final for the compound women. Looking back at the compound men right now, one man is locked, and that is Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, Mike Schlosser is in. He's got 54 points.
Way in.
Yeah, with 2 silvers and then following it up with, I think, a 5th place finish.
And he can drop that one, one of those.
Yeah,
so.
he won't need to do anything.
Doesn't need to go to Medellin, but he'll probably, knowing him, he probably will just for the prize money if he can.
I imagine he'll be there.
And then there's also contingency from various sponsors and that kind of thing. So a guy like Mike is going to probably go to as many of those as he can.
Yeah, Mike makes his living shooting archery, so.
Abhishek Verma is second after winning in Poland, 25 points off the board from Poland, and he had 13 points in Antalya. Didn't do so well in Shanghai.
Yeah, so if he goes to Colombia, he'll look to replace the Shanghai total. I imagine he'll be in with 39. Historically, that's been plenty enough to get in.
Yeah, but there's some heavy hitters down here in past 10th place. There's Bridger Deaton from the United States. There's Braden Galantine from the United States. I don't think Bridger is going to be able to go to Colombia, though, right?
Bridger will be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so usually what you see, I think at most you'll shuffle the deck a bit, but I think Verma will be fine with 39 points.
Well, let me get ahead of it. Who's the American team for Columbia coming up?
It's myself, Rio, Braden, and Bridger.
Okay, so that's a pretty solid team. And just moving down the chart here, second place, Abhishek Verma. Third place is Martin Damsbo.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin, he's only a few points behind Abhishek Verma. So Martin has a good result in Medellin, fixes his mechanical issues, and he probably will make it to the World Cup final.
Yeah.
Demir Emegakli of Turkey, who you named earlier in the season as your prospect for somebody who could do really well this year, he's doing well, like you said. He picked up points in Russia, and he's looking to head to Colombia. He's tied, actually, for fourth place right now with Rio Wild. And right behind those guys is you, Steve Anderson.
I'm in the mix, so we'll see what I can do. The real thing when you're on the U.S. team is being top 10 in the U.S.
Yeah.
So, or top 2, excuse me. For those of you who don't know, they only take 2 per country to the World Cup final, and it's happened before where the U.S. had a few guys inside the top 8, and only 2 of them get to go. Despite whether you're 1, 2, 3, number 3 gets left out. So that's kind of the real challenge, is making sure I can shoot well and stay ahead of Braden and Bridger, and keep a spot in the top 8 where I'm sitting in number 6 right now.
There's a few other heavy hitters in here. Sebastian Pinot of France is 7th, just behind you. And we've got Kim Jong-ho of Korea, who's tied with Dominique Genet. Or actually, no, he's Kim is number 8 and Dominique is number 9. Mr. Abadi, who took the silver in Poland, is 10th right now. Then you got Bridger Deaton. You've got Mr. Cardoso of Mexico.
Who will get the automatic seed.
Yep, because he's part of the host country. So he's actually out of that mix from the standpoint of the...
So really we're working 1 through 7 on the men's side.
That's right. And then you've got Braden Galantine. So Braden's 13th right now. Let's call it 12th because of the factor of Mexico being automatically in there. This is going to be a very hairy furball in Medellin.
Yeah, we'll see who number 1 shows up, and number 2 how it all plays out. It's always a struggle on the men's side, and that's why we only have one guy who is a lock, and then really 2 through 7, no one's locked yet.
Yeah, no locks in mixed team, by the way, technically, right? I mean, yeah, Denmark's looking really good, but I wouldn't call that a lock at 36 points. Right behind Denmark is Colombia, which will probably do well on their home turf.
Yeah.
Then you've got Slovenia, then Turkey. 5th is Germany. 6th is South Africa, and it's a 4-way tie. South Africa.
Where am I at here?
You
South
got
Africa, Iran, USA, Netherlands.
Yeah, so solid shooters on all of those teams.
Yeah, I expect on the mixed team it's going to be either Denmark or Colombia. I wouldn't expect it to go further down the list than that.
Yeah. India is going to try, but probably it's going to be tough for India in the compound mixed teams. Looking at the recurve mixed teams, no surprise, Korea. Although, again, nobody locked right now, points-wise, I don't think. But Korea's, almost certainly...
Yeah, being they only take one team plus the host country, and Mexico is number 2, I think Korea will be there. Now, it'll be a question of, do they send anyone?
Well,
sometimes they don't.
That's a good question, but I think they will send somebody to Medellin. And I think, you say sometimes they don't. They didn't want to send a couple of their shooters to the World Cup last year, and they ended up sending them. And, they pretty much chose at the last minute to go ahead and send them because they realize the World Cup has got a lot of importance to world archery. Mm-hmm. And outside of Korea, the World Cup is particularly important for countries like France, which was the host at the time, and some other countries that really value that opportunity to get the media interested in archery all the time, not just during the Olympic Games.
Yes.
So, the World Cup has been a great success in that particular regard, and I think that's going to be something that continues to keep the Koreans energized and engaged with World Cup finals going forward. But like you say, they are going to set up their priorities as they always have.
Yeah.
We got Korea number 1, Mexico number 2 for the recurve mixed team. So take them out of the mix because they're automatically in. You got China 3rd, tied with Japan. Now, India is 5th, USA is 6th, and then there's a 3-way tie for 7th. France, Belarus, Chinese Taipei. It's going to be tough for Germany, Spain, or Indonesia, who are 10, 11, and 12, to get in there. What's pleasantly surprising is the USA's 6th place. Good, solid prospect there if they have a good result in Colombia.
Yeah, I just don't see them picking up 20-plus points on 5 teams. So I think that one is, you could call it a lock. It's not official, but you could call it a lock. It'll be Korea versus Mexico at the World Cup final.
Yeah. Which, that's going to be a great showpiece for the event itself. It certainly generates lots of media interest when that's going on.
Yeah, real quick before we go to recurve, we'll recap the compounds. So on the men's side, we had gold, silver, bronze, Abhishek Verma, Esmail Abadi, and myself. On the women's side, gold medal went to Natalia Avdieva of Russia, silver, Alejandra Uskiana of Colombia, and Linda Ochoa of Mexico with the bronze. So looking at the recurve side here, George, what do we got?
Well, on the recurve side, a very good finish from the champion of the world in field archery, Jean-Charles Valadon of France, who ended up winning over Zach Garrett of the United States of America, who was the 4th qualifier for the United States. The American team qualified 1, 2, and 3, Colin Klimchek, and second place was Sean McLaughlin, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And then third was Brady Ellison. None of them figuring in the final, unfortunately, though.
Yeah, here in the individual final, Zach qualified 6th or 7th, somewhere in there, so he shot his way up through. I think Colin was eliminated in his first round, having to shoot against a guy who was warmed up after he came off the buys. And
I'm telling you, that's going to continue to be a problem.
Yep.
What are we talking about? Well, as you know, Steve, let's explain it for our listeners who might not know. If you finish in the top 8, you are given a bye.
Yep, to the round of
16. The round of 8. So
the 1/16.
The 1/16th elimination.
Yep.
Well, the problem with that is that you're coming up against somebody who has already had a win, has warmed up, has shot, in anger, as it were, and their mindset is they've got nothing to lose. You've been out there, you've shot on the field, but you haven't got the same startup mentality maybe. And we're seeing this over and over again. We're seeing people in that protected group lose. And the intent was, by the way, to stop that from happening earlier on, because it was occasionally happening earlier on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a great plan. I just don't. What do you think?
Hard for me to say. I've never qualified in the top 8. I qualified 9th through 13th every time I've been, but never been in the top 8. So I do always have, a quote unquote easier match to start. It's not always that way, but for me, I get to come in, have a couple matches, and then where I've qualified, it doesn't really make a difference. If I'm number 8 or if I'm number 9, I shoot the same path once I get past that round anyhow. So I prefer to have that early match to get a score out there. And historically, I've shot lower scores in the first round than I have in the final round. So I do think it's important to be able to warm up on it and then move into the tougher matches with a match or two under your belt.
Mackenzie Brown of the United States, the tall blonde, right?
Yep.
Yep, she shot really well.
Yeah, Mackenzie
took the gold medal.
She shot good all weekend.
That's a great finish for an American shooter who isn't named Katuna Lorig for a change. I mean, Katuna's a great shooter and has consistently been a performer for the United States, but this is Mackenzie's first gold medal in international competition after some hard work down at the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah, and we haven't had a lot of individual success on the women's recurve side outside of Katuna, so that's saying a lot for Mackenzie. I know she works hard. She missed out on the World Championship team, so she was back home. Well, home. She was at the the Olympic Training Center, putting in the work, and that's without coaches being there. Coaches are all out on the road, so she had to go do it on her own.
I'm really impressed with her. She's just and really nice person.
Yeah.
Then we've got Ayano Kato from Japan, who I've worked with a bit at Kindai University in Osaka. near Osaka. And she is a member of the program that also has Takaharu Furukawa and Kaori Kawanaka. So she's a premier member of the Japanese squad. Pretty much the third or fourth woman, typically, mixing it with Yuki Hayashi, and they've got some up-and-coming women. They've got a good depth there, and Miss Kato is certainly an example of that. Then we've got Elena Richter rocking it again for Germany. Elena has been consistently a great shooter in the last 10 years, doing really well at the World Cups as well as at international field championship events, and so she has taken a bronze medal. I'm sure she's very happy with that. There's a special tie-in between Elena and Easton, that maybe you don't know this, Steve, but she worked here for a summer. She worked at the Easton factory in the planning department as an intern for an entire summer and trained at the archery park here at Easton. So
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, so Elena's got a special tie to the Easton company that's pretty cool. For the Recurve men's team, the Americans came back for gold.
Yeah, they shot their way through. The team was Colin Klimacheck, Sean McLaughlin, and Brady Ellison. As we mentioned before, they qualified 1, 2, 3, and then finished out with a gold medal win over Germany. So that's start to finish lead for them. And I know they had some tough matches to get into the gold medal match. They had to go to a shoot-off, and they picked up the win there.
Silver medal went to Germany with Florian Floto, Florian Kalland, and Mark Rudolph. And then for bronze, the People's Republic of China, Huang Ri, Dai Xiaoshang, who we remember from the London Games, and a newcomer, Yong Jiwei. For the Recurve women's teams, again, the American women.
The American women, yeah. Mackenzie Brown, Katuna Lorig, and Lenola Pritchard, they had a great weekend and shot their way into the gold medal match and then shot their way to a gold medal in that match. So good for them.
Yeah, absolutely good on them. And Georgia was second with Christina Sabua, Katuna Narabanidze, and Yulia Lobanidze. Bronze medal went to China. China's Sao Hui, Shi Shusong, and Hui Yangguang, all taking home the bronze medal for the People's Republic of China. For the mixed team recurves, Mexico's power duo, Ida Roman and Juan Rene Serrano. For the silver medal, it was the world cadet champion Deepika Kumari shooting with Mangal Champia, taking silver for India, and probably getting roasted in the Indian press because they only took silver.
Right.
And let's see, we've got Alina Kuznetsova of Belarus and Anton Prilipov taking the bronze for Belarus. So pretty good result for Eastern Europeans at this event as well. Well, that just about wraps it up for this podcast. Steve, I know that you're probably looking forward to spending some time at home, but I think I heard you got to get back on a plane in 2 days, don't you?
Yep. Next up for me is an ASA tournament. I get to go do some work at a 3D event and might even shoot if I can muster getting my bow out of the case.
Oh,
and
you're
getting
kidding.
some stuff ready. Yeah. So it's
where's the event?
Oh boy, I think it's in Fort Benning, Alabama. I'm not really sure. I know I fly into Atlanta, Georgia, and I drive somewhere from there.
It's got to all be one big days.
Yeah, it's I'll figure stuff out. When I unpack it and repack it the same day, I'll start figuring out when and where I'm going. But I'm excited to go.
All right. Well, shoot good. Have fun. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Let's mention again, by the way, that if folks have a question, that we'll address it at podcast@eastontp.com. And so for myself, George Tekmitchov, and Steve the
Big Cat
Anderson, I'm going to hit stop.